welcome to the Career Corner. My name is Heather Swift, and I'm delighted to be your host. The purpose for the Career Corner is to help people move from career distress to career success. Whether you have a job or you're looking for one, how you manage your stress and take care of yourself during difficult times directly impacts your performance. Today, to share top tips and secrets with us is Risa Olinsky, a health and fitness expert who's come to speak to us today on the Career Corner. Risa, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Heather.
So you have been in this field for over 25 years, and I wanted to ask, as we kick off the show, if you've noticed any changes in how stressed out people are now in this year of 2011 versus 5, 10, even just a few years ago.
Well, stress is tremendous. There's a tremendous result in increased stress from electronic communication. We get information in, and we have to get it out so quickly, and sometimes we're not quite ready for that. And sometimes it takes time to process that information, even though we can get it out that fast. You get an email in, you have to get it right out. That it puts people on guard. It creates a fight or flight response in the individual. And when fight or flight, which is the stress response, whether the stressor that's coming in is a real stressor or it's just excitement, it may just be excitement, it immediately sends up heart rate, it immediately sends up someone's blood pressure. You know, they suddenly feel like, oh, what is expected of me?
I have to perform.
Right.
I have to be on.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. What do I have to do right away? Instead of being able to sit back, kind of digest what the information is and say, okay, how do I want to handle this? What do I really want to do? So that's one factor involved. Travel is a lot faster. We get everything, as silly as it may sound, from getting dressed in the morning. We're bombarded with information instead of taking that time and saying, who am I? Where am I? What do I need? And what's the next step?
So just we're processing so much more, it sounds like. And I think we can feel that, people that have been working for many years now and more years, that just in the business when we didn't have email, you could take your time and someone would call. And I remember this one lawyer we worked with, he'd come in and say, I'm about to make a facsimile transaction. And he would joke because he was going to send a fax. And there was no computers except for Microsoft Word to type and how quickly that shifted out. And now everyone's live all the time.
That's a very good way of putting it, that we're live. And people need downtime. They need, there are times when I'm sitting and I'm working and I'm a very excited, hyperactive person, and then all of a sudden I find myself that my breath is really short, that I'm not breathing, that I'm not centered and focused with what I'm really feeling, and I'll just say, stop. Just tell myself, I'll do a little self-talk, which is another good way. That's kind of a basic tip, which is self-talk, to calm yourself down and say it can wait, something can wait.
I think I was reading a book a while ago, and it was talking about prioritizing instead of just automatically trying to do everything, and seeing if that does lower the feeling of the stress, or that I have to be on immediately for everyone else, instead of saying, you know what, these are my priorities. And they may not be everyone else's priorities, but it's like, do you have to answer the phone when it rings? You really don't. It's your phone.
No, that's why we have voicemail.
Yeah,
a great electronic. We have
voicemail. Use that a little more, perhaps.
We have voicemail, and we have, the email that says I'm out of the office, or the email that, there are a lot of.
I'm overwhelmed. Please contact me next week.
That's my response, right?
You go try that.
They say turn email off, turn something off. The Wall Street Journal just did a very interesting article on it. I think it was Tuesday. Are we techno-stressed? Are we over-stressed? But yet we need to respond. So priorities and also values. How, what is number one? And of course, if you're looking for work, I'm an entrepreneur, so I, started my own business 20 years ago, and I did it based on the fact that I want to manage priorities. I want to raise my children, and I want to manage my priorities. Now I both work for another organization, for a large nonprofit, and I still run my business at the same time. And it's really, really different. It's, both working for someone and doing your own work. It's completely different. And the demands are different. So there's a constant juggling and balancing, or actually, I'm going to take that back. I'm not going to use the word balance. I like to use the word aligning. If you're aligned with what you're doing and what your values are and how that connects to your personal life and your business life, you're going to be a little more relaxed. A little more relaxed.
No, absolutely. Now, and I know that you give talks in different environments and to different groups. What is your main practice, your private practice, and what kind of people come to you for support?
Well, primarily I'm a health and wellness coach, and health and wellness goes beyond just the body. My background is a master's degree in exercise science. I have multiple certifications and everything related to everything that I need to do. But really, when I work with an individual one-on-one or in groups, and I do both, I'm working on the total picture. I'm working around their health. And if their career, whether it's family, it could be their diet, how they eat. It could be whether they're exercising or whether they're not. It could be factors on how much they travel, how much they sleep. So when you're looking at health coaching, you're really looking at the whole human being. And work and the life balance, which everyone's talking about these days, is just one piece of it. That's only one piece. One of the things I talk to people a lot about is sleep. Sleep is critical. If you don't sleep, you're not recharging your battery.
How many hours for our viewers should we try to get?
I really do like to recommend the 8,
Okay.
but truthfully, there are people that I work with that sleep 4 hours a night, that sleep 5 hours a night. Individuals that will say, well, I get my best work done at 1 in the morning, and then they're getting up at 6 o'clock a.m. Or they may be mothers that have children and they have to get up and take care of the kids. So they first want to get their work done when they go to sleep at night, when the children go to sleep at night. Fathers too.
Yeah.
It's mothers and fathers.
It sounds so familiar. I might as well get to bed.
Yeah.
But when the house is quiet, a lot of parents are, catching up on those emails and having, for the second shift.
And what happens when you don't sleep either enough and or well, which you don't always have control over, what happens is your hormones are off balance. Your adrenal glands are stressed. Your hormones are not balanced. You're not recharging your battery, and then you're adding stress to it. Lack of sleep is also connected to weight gain, which is very interesting.
It is.
Yeah. It's connected to, and again, it's a matter of hormones. If the body kicks out cortisol, which is a stress hormone, it is more apt to store fat. So yeah, that's a little tidbit people don't like to talk about.
Well, it does make sense if you really think about it, but that's not what you first see on Self magazine.
No,
sleep
you
more,
don't. No,
lose weight, be less stressed.
No,
so.
It's funny I talk about things like that, but again, bringing it into career and bringing it into, well, I won't say career, but just your life and what you do. It's are we connected? Are we connected with what our values are, what our mission is? You can't always love everything you do. I mean, granted, it would be wonderful if everyone loved everything they could do and what they got up in the morning for. But somewhere during the day, if we can highlight and say, wow, this really excites me. What am I getting up in the morning for? What excites me? And if there are those tasks that are a little bit mundane and you just have to get out of the way and you just have to do, well, then that's not as difficult. But you have to focus on what really excites you.
No, those are some great ideas to contemplate, the sleep factor. When you think about helping your clients have a vision and to reach goals, are there any tips you can share about what has made for successful clients you've worked with versus people that constantly derail themselves? Is it just up here? What's going on?
It starts up here, and that's such a great point to bring up. When I work with people, we have what we call the wellness vision, and it is just that. The vision is not the step-by-step what you're going to do every day. We sit down, I work with people one-on-one or in the groups. We sit down and I say, in the best of all worlds, what would you like to accomplish? What do you see yourself doing? And then one of the big things we talk about is, what are your personal strengths? Dr. Martin Seligman, who started the field of positive psychology, he's a former president of the American Psychological Association, works at University of Pennsylvania as a professor. He talks about what is it that you, not just what you're good at. It's not, not that you can ride a bicycle or you can, it's not the skill. It's what makes you tick. What are you really, really good at? I like to, when I'm working with people, I like to use my own example, which was when I was a very little girl. If I were given in school option to either write a report or give an oral report. Remember those days when we had to stand up and most people would be terrified by standing up in front of a room and speaking to the class. I always chose the oral report. It's just something I didn't mind. I didn't mind speaking. That was a personal strength.
You enjoyed that, yeah.
I enjoyed it. It was a personal strength. Just someone else that could terrorize them, standing in front of an audience. But, so what are your strengths? What, if you're looking for a job, if you want to lose weight, if you want to change your lifestyle, if you want to make a move somewhere, what is it that you see? So we create this vision. It's a picture. Then we take it from there to set up the goals. And we set up 3-month goals sometimes 6-month goals, depending on what that vision is. Particularly when I'm working with people with their bodies, which is what a lot of people come to me for, which is to help them either lose weight, decrease their medical risk factors, all those type of things, and again, related to stress. We have to take baby steps. We really have to take baby steps with them. And with each baby step and each goal that they accomplish, we celebrate. We celebrate.
So it's like the little wins along the way.
Yes, yeah. It's like building a foundation. If you're building something, you don't start up here. I mean, you have to build a solid
and it's unrealistic
foundation.
to think you're going to be at the roof when you haven't even laid the groundwork yet, right, or the framework to really launch from there.
And with little successes, with the step-by-step successes, you develop that confidence. You develop self-efficacy and the feeling that, hey, that wasn't so bad. I can really do it. That's what a coach does. A coach helps you just kind of step over the obstacles and then sit back. And the best part is when you sit back and you really celebrate. When I can look at someone and I had a professional woman, that I was working with, who literally said to me one day, she wrote me an email and she said, "Oh, wow, don't want to go into personal things, but that happened. It just happened. I was out of town, and you know what, Risa, it worked." And she wrote me, and she said, "This is so great. This is so wonderful." And I said, "Well, how do you feel?" She was surprised, and she said, "I just feel great." And I said, "You deserve it. You really deserve it." Because little things, even little things like making the phone call to get a job. Making
Putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
And when people do get so depressed, to come out of that, to think, I want to move forward, I'm ready, and to have the courage to do that, because it's, rejection's a scary thing at any age.
It is.
Regardless of experience. I have a good friend who I have worked with for many years, and got a phone call that her husband had been, let go after a couple decades. And they're figuring out, what does this look like now? And he's going through his own experience of, okay, I'm not where I was, and what do I want to do when I grow up? But he already is grown up, so it's
the second career. The second,
exactly.
the third career.
Exactly, or the mixed portfolio. We refer to that a lot at Lee Hacht, people doing a couple different jobs. Almost like how you have two, and that people enjoy that. It's a variety, and it's a different way than just, clocking in from 8 to 7 when people are like, done. I don't want to do that anymore.
We don't want to go on remote control. We don't want to feel that we're not feeling or thinking about what we're doing.
That's true, because there's differences for that. Yeah. So we'll be taking a break in a little bit, and I wanted to ask if when we come back, can we maybe go through some exercise, some breathing exercises, or something that maybe when people are waiting to, before they go in for their interview, or before they make that phone call from home, that can kind of relax them and maybe de-stress them a little bit?
Great.
Does that sound
Look
good?
forward to it.
Okay. We'll be taking a break, and when we come back, we'll be speaking with Risa Olinsky and looking at some exercises to de-stress ourselves.
Is your home in foreclosure? During the current financial crisis, as many as 60,000 New Jersey homeowners will go through foreclosure. If you need help, now's time to get connected to the new statewide foreclosure mediation program. Housing counselors and mortgage mediators are available to help work out a payment you can afford with your lender.
I met with the housing counselor and they helped me save my home. They can help you too.
Hi, welcome back to the Career Corner. Today we're speaking with Risa Olinsky, Health and Wellness Coach. And we're going to be talking about the importance of the breath and bringing us back into this present moment to help de-stress ourselves. So Risa, what can you share with us about the importance of the breath and breathing exercises when one is feeling stressful?
Okay. Heather, breath in yoga and in most of the Eastern arts is where our energy comes from. We talk about chi, we talk about life force. Well, it all comes from our center, from our breath. And what happens very often when, again, like we mentioned before, when you're stressed, is we tend to start breathing here. I mean, I can feel
It's true.
myself.
Yeah, I've noticed that at times as well.
Yeah, you feel,
Yeah.
you know, your shoulders rise up. In fact, we can do this. You go. And
I feel like I'm at the office.
and it's very tense.
Yeah.
So the way that we can bring ourselves, and you can do this, an exercise incredibly quietly, no one even has to know you're doing it, is just to sit and relax, and we'll do a few other things in a moment, but just sit here and just focus totally on your breathing, totally. Normally I ask people to close their eyes. I won't ask you to close your eyes now. But normally I'll demonstrate, and I just here, and I just go inside.
So deep all the way down to your solar plexus.
So if you do this, if you take your feet, and I'm just going to put my feet flat on the floor because I'm so little that that's hard
You
to
are
do
little.
anyway.
Small but mighty, as they
Thank
say.
you. And I take my hands and I do this, and and little trick that if you are in a position where you are with other people and you don't necessarily want them to be aware of what you're doing, you can just kind of do a little.
Yeah. Strike a
Just-
pose.
Just kind of just feel your stomach. And you want to breathe in as though you've got a straw going down through your nose all the way down into your stomach. Now, your lungs are here, but the diaphragm is here. And when the diaphragm presses down, the whole midsection and the chest can expand. So if you go like this, I'm going to inhale.
So really all the way out and deflating it completely. Okay.
It's a feeling, I like to call it blowing out a candle. It's as though you're blowing out a candle. You are breathing in, you're filling up a balloon. Another great image is, you think of an accordion. Bellows, the bellows, I couldn't think of the word, but, on an Irish kind of a...
Oh, yes,
What do you
yes,
go?
yes. I know what you're talking about, but I can't.
Right, I can't
Okay.
think of it. Bagpipes.
Okay.
Or something like that, an accordion, and it expands, and then as you
Contracts back,
exhale,
okay.
it contracts in. Now, the interesting thing about that too, a little side effect, is you're using your stomach muscles. You're actually
Bonus.
using a bonus. You're using your abdominal muscles.
So you're breathing and you're getting abs of steel all at
You
once.
got it. You
Oh,
got
I
it.
love it.
You got it. And it brings the focus back to your center. It really, and it brings your heart rate down. It brings your blood pressure down. So if you're feeling this kind of, you just breathe. It's the simplest little thing. It's free. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. I use that exercise, and I recommend it to people also when they're stopping at a red light. Don't close your eyes. But when your foot's on the brake and you're stopping at a red light, and if you're going somewhere and you're feeling very rushed and you're feeling very harried, just stop for a minute, and as like the old little kids game, red light, green light, 1, 2, 3, just breathe.
Just breathe. Just be conscious of your breath. And even if people are going on job interviews or meetings in the city, you have a nice New Jersey Transit ride.
Absolutely.
And if they're running normally, they'll be delayed. So you'll have lots
you
of
got
time.
plenty of time to breathe.
Yes, exactly.
And another good way to do it is to, if you have the ability to sit, on the train, on a plane, on a train, if you have the ability to sit up, you can sit on what we call your sit bones. All right, and on a firm chair, you'll feel that. It's the bottom of your pelvis. And if you sit up on your sit bones, your back straightens, and then you give yourself more space to actually breathe, so that the body here expands. You can see that happening, like that. Now, if we want to, we can take it a step further. If you have some quiet time, if you want to run off to the restroom, or you want to head off to the side of something or a private
Or you're
space.
preparing at home before.
You're preparing at home.
Yeah.
I have an exercise that I love to do, which is to make a strong fist, like this, like just create all the tension I can. Just make a fist, and then push it away. Just get rid of that tension.
Let it go.
Yeah,
Let the energy go.
Let it go. Just send it away from your body. And you can take a breath in, exhale, relax the arms down, and that suddenly lifts your posture up. So again, if you bring a fist here, breathe in, exhale, and relax it, and you're lifting up tall in your, and when you feel focused, when you feel relaxed, you're going to look relaxed. When you're going for work or a job or you're doing a presentation, if you're sitting or standing like this, what does that do to your energy? Your energy is right, it's sinking to the floor. So sitting up, breathing, expanding through here, expanding through the whole midsection is very relaxing and very, it will bring you back down. Another good one is take your pulse. It's natural biofeedback. If you're feeling hyper, you're feeling like you can't get a deep breath and you just need to slow down, take your 2 fingers and put them along your thumb. And again, you can do this just sitting here. Nobody knows you're doing it. And take your pulse.
And also let you know you're still alive.
Yeah. But if your pulse is racing, if your pulse is really going fast, if you breathe, you're doing a little bit of biofeedback just by monitoring your pulse. So good stuff.
That's very good stuff. So when we're looking at the breath and guarding our thoughts and our mind and what things we're talking about, I'd love to touch on, since this is so up your alley, is what we're putting in our mouths. Consumption, whether it's stress and booze, whether it's stressful eating and that bag of chips or Girl Scout cookies that are coming out and 2 isn't enough, I got to finish that whole stack of those Thin Mints. What are some ways that you've seen food impact performance and how that derails us with our objectives? And because it's such a mind game, especially for women more so, it seems like.
Well, I have a saying that I like to talk about when I talk about food, which is weight management, stress, body image, the whole thing has a lot to do with what goes on between your ears, but it has little to do with your mouth. All right, now some people may disagree with me because some people will say, well, when I feel a certain way, I've got to go eat those cookies. And that's what happens, because when we're at that moment where you're feeling a certain way, whatever the emotion is, generally what we're trying to do is run away from it. We don't want to deal with whatever that is. And the breath will help again. But I have a couple of tips that I do with people, which is I say, ask yourself, what do I need? What do I really, really need right now?
Which is very different than what do I want.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's the next question.
You
have the next one. What do I need? What is my heart telling me? What is my mind telling me? Maybe I'm hungry. Maybe I do need food. But first, what do I really need? Do I need to scream at someone? Do I need to go out for a walk? Do I
need to breathe?
Do I need to breathe? Do I need to cry? A good cry can be very therapeutic, or a good laugh. So what do I really need? And then the question is, what do I really want? What do I want? If the bag of cookies or the refrigerator is right there, before you go to it, you ask yourself, what do I want? And then, what is available to me? What are the things that are actually there? Now, that goes to how we go shopping. Because if the things that are triggers that you might not normally eat are staring you in the face.
Yeah, like after the holidays, party leftovers, okay.
And then, the last question I ask is, whose choice is it? Whose choice is it?
Some accountability in that one.
And after that, what will I feel like after? What will I feel like? So what do I need?
Those are great questions. What do I need? What do I want?
What do I have?
What do I have
available? Is it my choice? Is anyone forcing me to eat this? And what am I going to feel like after? And often, again, I'm kind of a scientist, but there's research that goes to, we're attracted to salt, sugar, and fat.
Of course.
Salt, sugar, and fat.
It's a triple threat. The fabulous triple threat.
Now, realistically, our bodies don't need that right now. They used to need it, but they really don't need salt, sugar, and fat. And I know that if I eat something that has a lot of sugar in it, I'm generally healthy. I don't have any health problems that are related to sugar, but I'm not going to feel good afterwards. I'm really not going to feel good. So I ask myself those questions. And I happen to have been overweight when I was younger. So they're very important questions to me. They're very important questions because I want to have the energy to do all the things that I want to do, and I want to feel balance. So if I'm going to have something, out of my normal range, you're socializing, you're going out, great, that's fine. But mindful eating and mindful choices have to do with thinking about before we actually eat. And that's a hard thing, because when we're really stressed, that goes right out the window. So then we need tips and we need clues to, instead of trigger ourselves, we need clues as to going back here again. It's really all about, finding out who you are. So those triggers, those tips, are the questions. Really stopping yourself and asking yourself those questions. And it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
It can become a habit.
Yeah. It sounds like great questions and a very good habit to start forming. With looking at some of the goals and goal setting, are there some exercises that people could bring through, or some top tips we could share as we start to wind down our program?
Okay. Well, the biggest thing that I think in personal goals is that schedule. Schedule has a lot to do with it. If you scheduling has a lot to do with it. All right, I was working with someone the other day, and an individual asked me, "Well, Risa, how do you get up in the morning, go to New York? Do you exercise in the evening? What is your schedule like? What are all the things that you do?" And truthfully, I'm still kind of a paper person, even though I have a smartphone. But I'm still kind of a paper person, and I took out my little paper notebook and I said, "Look, it says WO here. That's workout. It says my lunch date here. It says my business appointments here. I schedule time for myself as much as I schedule my business appointments and I schedule my appointments with other people. And I actually write them down. Now, you can write things down, and then if you have to change it, you can change it.
Yep.
But
Please get it on the calendar.
Exactly, exactly. And it's amazing how many very, very successessful business, career, whatever, or maybe just stay-at-home moms and dads. I shouldn't limit that to moms, dads too. That they don't write in their personal time. They don't write in, as silly as it may sound, they're going to go do something or go for a walk with a friend. And they tend not to write it in. So scheduling is important. Prioritizing is important. There's another big point, which is we often create a lot of stress in our lives because we don't leave enough time that a task really takes. You're going somewhere and you say, "Oh, well, it's only 10 minutes away," but it's going to take 20 minutes when you hit traffic. And then you're stressed and you're rushing. Yeah. It happened to me today.
Oh, and everyone's rushing. I feel
rushing.
Like we had our car clock set 15 minutes ahead, because I always felt so good to know I had 15 extra minutes.
Yes.
But my husband's like, but it's ahead, so it's really. But it was like this mind game. So this year he said to correct time. So every time I go in, I have to think I'm on time, that's correct time. So I have to not think I have this cushion, but leaving early so you're not getting that extra panic and that extra rush is a very good
So scheduling
suggestion.
and really organizing not just your time, your life, and fitting in that personal time is really, really critical. Even under the most stressful conditions, fitting in personal time is really important for men, for women, even for kids. For kids, that's great.
The overscheduled child, let them just play.
Absolutely, absolutely. They don't know how. That's another topic in itself.
Now, where can people find you that are interested in all the different services that you have?
Well, sometimes they can find me running around the streets of Maplewood. No.
Okay.
Stop you. No, kidding aside. No, I'm very much out of it. But all right, I have a website, and interestingly enough, when I started my company, which is called Count on Yourself Coaching, I thought that would be very difficult to remember. So my website is really easy to remember. It is myfullname.com.
Okay.
So it's
And that'll be listed right here for our viewers.
RisaOlinsky.com.
Okay.
And my email is as simple as that too. And I'm in Maplewood, New Jersey, right here. I work with individuals, I work with groups, and also coaching that I do is actually on the telephone. So I can work.
Great.
Yeah, people don't think of that. Even though I have an office on Baker Street in Maplewood, the coaching can be done anywhere in the world. So if the clients...
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, it's virtual and it's by telephone. So
Okay,
if
super.
the individual speaks English, I can coach them.
Great. Well, we'll make sure we post your website. Thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being on the Career Corner. And thank you all for tuning in to listen to the Career Corner today. Risa will look forward to hopefully meeting some of you out there. And if you have any other suggestions for ideas or topics that you'd like to see, please check out heatherswift.net. Until we meet again, we wish you much career success.